This is my girlfriend Pia, and this is me, a full-time YouTuber with over 1.1 million subs and over 200 million channel views. I can honestly confess that I got my girlfriend today because of YouTube. And there's 3 reasons why. Look, I know what you're all thinking, but before you start jumping to conclusions, you need to know a little backstory about me to understand why I'm even saying this. Growing up, I played everything safe. You know Asians in general, they play everything safe and conservative. If there was any chance of risk, I was raised to avoid it. Don't go out after 8, there's danger. Don't play this sport because it's risky. Wear 15 layers because you might catch a cold. But when I was in high school, I grew little balls for the first time in my life to step out of my comfort zone, both literally and figuratively since that was around puberty. And so I went on the rite of passage that every boy knows well, and I asked a girl out. Now this girl, I had a crush on her for 2 years straight and I wanted to tell her. So I spent a full 3 months overcoming my risk avoidance mentality. I was preparing myself for that exact moment where I would confess to her that I like her. And one day I had this smooth plan in my head, so I did it. I told her that I needed advice on how to tell someone else that I like them. And at this point, she thinks I'm talking about another girl, so she just tells me, don't be a pussy and just tell her. Then we pause for a moment. You know, to me, it was like raw romantic tension, but looking back to her, it was probably just straight up creepy. And I took her advice. I told her that I liked her. And she looked at me with this WTF face and said, oh, me? I like you too, just as a friend. My first experience stepping out of my comfort zone just to end up in the friend zone. Now, we guys all know this feeling very, very well, but depending on who you were at that time, the pain is at different levels. For me, as a risk-avoidant guy my whole life, that rejection literally destroyed me. I beat myself up for the next 2 straight years. And that experience was just so traumatic that I told myself that I wouldn't put myself out there anymore for anyone. Taking risks like that would just lead to pain and failure. Now looking back, obviously it was the wrong lesson to learn because in the end, you just get nowhere. But as a dumb kid, that's the one thing that I learned that day. So it wasn't until I started making YouTube videos with my friends after university when I first really started putting myself out there again. But this time online to the YouTube world instead of confessing my love to a girl that I liked. And at first, I didn't realize it at the time, but by making more and more videos, I started seeing the similarities between the two. Because honestly, YouTube and asking a girl out are both taking big risks in itself. For example, you can spend so much time and effort planning your YouTube content, just like how you would spend time planning out how to talk to her. You put the video out as a reflection of yourself and your skills, and it can get tons of views or completely flop and get no views at all. Just like how when you tell a girl you like them, she can say yes or no. And to make matters worse, on YouTube, you sometimes get random hate comments out of nowhere, which is similar to if she slapped you and said, get away from me, you creep. So because of my upbringing and past experiences, the negative side of YouTube really took a toll on me at first. I was so nervous before video releases, I was so distraught by hate comments, and I questioned my self-worth when videos didn't do that well. But with time and repetition, the more I made great videos or bad videos, got comments that were loving or hate, the more I realized, who really gives a fuck? Like, what's the big deal? So the video flopped. So the guy hates you in the comment section. So what? Should I just stop making videos now? And if I'm gonna continue making videos anyway, then what's the point of me even thinking about that? Then I thought to myself, if that was the case for YouTube, then why can't I apply that same logic for girls as well? So what if she rejected you years ago? So what if the girl rejected you even yesterday? What are you gonna do about it now? Become celibate and just jerk it for the rest of my life? If not, then just like how I needed to make another video, I needed to put myself out there again as well. So with this shift in mindset, I took more chances with everything. I made more videos, I tried bolder ideas, I started businesses, I started being more social. And when Pia, my girlfriend, walked into my life 3 years ago and the universe gave me the opportunity to have the world's most amazing girlfriend, I took it and never looked back. So despite being super risk averse my entire life, YouTube taught me to succeed, I needed the confidence to take chances. And that was the first thing that helped me land the girl of my dreams. Now, aside from just the mindset shift, the second reason how YouTube helped me get my girlfriend was that it gave me the means to actually feel secure in a relationship in the first place. Back in 2019, when I made the decision to quit my full-time job to work for myself and pursue doing YouTube, there was always something that I was struggling with, and that was my finances. I mean, I was quitting a job that paid nearly $100,000 a year to making barely $10,000 a year on YouTube at that time. I know it sounds absolutely stupid and crazy, but I mean, that's what every entrepreneur goes through at the beginning. For me, my business was just YouTube. So although immediately YouTube had given me more confidence to put myself out there, being broke prevented me from pursuing anything else, especially girls. What would I even put myself out there with, right? Like $500 in my bank account? At that time, I couldn't even pay for my own bills, let alone take a girl out on a date. And even if Pia, my current girlfriend, wouldn't have a problem with it because, she believes in splitting 50-50, there was absolutely no way that I would even feel comfortable being in a relationship at that time because I was a completely broke kid. What was I gonna do? Like make her pay my rent, make her pay my phone bills? I was just not in a place where I could financially be in a relationship. So for the sake of my future and to be able to have a girlfriend in the future, I locked in and became totally one-track minded. Me and my partners, who have been my best friends since high school, by the way, we worked like crazy to grow the YouTube channel. We wanted to get more views and sponsors primarily, but we also worked to find new ways to make more income by building our own products. But with hard work, the right mentor, and developing the right system for our content, things really took off. And not only did the channel grow, but we were also able to make more money in offerings we made for the channel. We made our own clothing brand, food products, and digital products that catered to our audience. And through our already growing YouTube channel, we were able to scale our product businesses from our organic videos to 7 figures and more. Basically, we learned how to drive sales from our content. And after a year or so through YouTube and everything associated with the business of YouTube, we were able to make a stable income for all 3 of us that we could finally thrive on. It was then, at that point in time, where I felt comfortable enough to be open to the idea of having a girlfriend and being in a relationship. Because now I was no longer an ultra brokey. So when Pia came along in my life in 2020, I was open to the idea of dating her because I was now at a point in my life where I felt financially ready. Because now in this relationship, I wouldn't be a burden. I could pay for myself when we go out to eat, we could travel together, and I never let financial stress get between us in a relationship. So in short, YouTube and entrepreneurship so far had given me the confidence to take risks and helped me become financially independent. And both those things I needed to get into a relationship in the first place. But despite both those things, all the confidence and money in the world would have been completely useless if I didn't have this one final thing that YouTube helped me with. And it was the most important thing. Let me explain. Like I said before, I started off in a regular job just like most people. I worked there for a year and there weren't many memorable moments. But there was this one memory that always stuck with me. I remember distinctly, it was December 21st around Christmas time, and literally everybody was out of the office for their Christmas breaks. Because I was younger and I had just joined the company, I wasn't allowed to do that. So imagine this, it's literally just me alone sitting in this empty office at 6 p.m. on a Friday. I'm scheduled to work until the 24th because my boss said so. And it's not like I even had work to do. I had already finished everything, but I just needed to be there because I had to be there. To me, that was like jail. I remember feeling so trapped and honestly, just like a prisoner in that office. And it wasn't even the work that made me depressed because I was okay doing work. It was the inability to make decisions for my own life. And in that office, it was shown clearly to me, to my face, that as long as I didn't make a change, that this would have to be my reality for as long as I worked there. Nothing would ever change in my life if I didn't do something about it. And that was a very sad and sobering thought. This was actually one of the key moments that led me to quit my full-time job a few months later and start doing YouTube full-time, which was basically equivalent to starting my own business. Now, I'm not only gonna glorify the YouTube and entrepreneur lifestyle. Of course, work was extremely hard at times and it took time to build up a stable income. But there was one beautiful thing that I had control of the second I quit my job, and that made it all worth it. It's the most precious resource on earth. The one thing that you can never get back and money can never buy. It was time. I was finally able to control my own time. For example, if I wanted to go somewhere, be somewhere, I could work harder before, get my work done, and then do whatever I wanted to without answering to anybody. And this was so amazing because I'd never felt this before. It's only something that I started feeling when I was working for myself and on my own business. And even now, sometimes I take it for granted, but I know it's probably the single most beautiful thing about entrepreneurship. With that said, you can probably see where this is going. Fast forward to when my girlfriend and I started dating back in 2021. We were long distance at the time and living across the country from each other. She had a job in a small town where she couldn't leave aside from the typical 2 weeks per year or so. And we dated like this for a full year, going back and forth between our 2 places. It was a small resort town of about 1,000 people or so. And I swear I must have visited that town at least 8 times that year. I was literally the best tourist ever, propping up their entire economy. And that's because mostly it was me going to see her, because I was fortunate enough to be able to control my own schedule. But if I wasn't a YouTuber and I didn't have my businesses on YouTube, and instead I was working a job where I had to stick to a strict schedule, ask my boss for permission to leave, we probably would have never worked out. Or at least never gotten this far as a couple, just purely because we wouldn't have been able to see each other enough. And that's especially important at the beginning of a relationship. Time together is really what matters. We even talk about it now sometimes, about how hard those times were and how we might not have lasted if I didn't have that privilege to visit whenever I wanted to. And it's sad, but it's true, because as much as people say that love is all you need and it's enough, it's not. What actually is enough is both love and the right life situation. And we were very fortunate. I had both because I was doing YouTube. And that was it. The freedom to control my own time was the last and most important thing that YouTube gave me. Along with the confidence to take risks and financial independence, I was able to get into and maintain the relationship of my dreams. Looking back, I really did need all 3 of those things to make this relationship happen and to keep it going strong every single day. And of course, there's one last thing. We needed love too.